Hello, awesome people. I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at the next short story in this section, in this collection, Pawn of Chaos, which is a collection written in 1996 for folks. They're written in the Eternal Champion. These are actually written for this collection, not by other people to give them a sort of a few things. The next one is by Mike Lee. It's called Dragging the Line. It's 18 pages long. I'll link you to this in the comments below. As a reminder, I got this collection when I was doing a deep dive into the Eternal Champion back when I was in college. It was published during the last 2 years of high school the last 3 years of high school, 2 years of college for you folks. It was 5 years. He was my favorite author, and so I was reading a lot of his stuff. I picked up this collection while I was doing a deep dive into it because it's set in the same universe as his things, but I never actually read them because by the time I got around to it, I was reading other things, other authors, right, and so forth. And then H.P. Lovecraft became my favorite author in my junior year in college, and I've really only gone back and read his stuff a few times here and there, but not massively so, based on what I was feeling at the time. So I've never actually read this collection. Now, I've just finished doing a deep dive into a lot of his Eternal Champion stuff for his channel. And I thought it would be fun for me to knock this stuff out since I was doing a sort of a denouement, if you will. So now we're doing Dragging the Line by Mike Lee. It's an 18-page long short story for you folks. As a reminder, my reviews are spoiler free, so I won't be doing a deep dive into the spoiler side of things in order to get you caught up. I like to do the first few pages. So in the first 3 or 4 pages, here's what's happening. Our key characters are from New York City. They are recently after getting married, and somebody asks them if this is their honeymoon, and they say sort of. Is their response is a couple from New York City in the state of New York. They are traveling by train in southern India across the thing. They've been there for a few weeks now and have started to acclimate to various things and so forth. She's not that great. She's not that happy, although she was the one that wanted to take a trip to India, and so forth. And our primary point of view character is her husband, and so forth. They're sharing a cabin with another pair of English-speaking tourists. These people from England proper, and they are married, and so forth. And he just got food poisoning this day, and is now down. He had a local dish, and they are sort of trained. She calls herself a train spotter, so they're trained tourists to like to talk about engines and spot those sorts of things on the line and so forth. So that's what they're doing. And then so she'll talk a lot about trains and stuff to the folks, to our keepers. And these 4 people are sort of our key people. Although the point of view character is the husband of the wife who took the trip from New York City. So that's sort of the 4 characters, and they're traveling around through India and so forth. So it's people that have met and sharing a cabin and so forth, and both people that are all 4 of them that speak English as their first language and are from, sort of the English Western world and so forth. The 4 of them start to get to know each other very well, and we'll start to hang out with each other, and we'll do things together and so forth. Now, one of the reasons I have some issues with this short story, well, first of all, it's a little long. It's a lot of conversations and descriptions, but not a lot of actual plot that's happening with it. To the Eternal Champion who shows up, and I do like that it's somebody who's relatively unknown. He shows up 75% of the way through the short story, not into the second half, right, and so forth. And I'm sort of like, I don't know what's happening here, right? There's just people traveling in our modern day world, right? And so forth. Now, there is a surprise in the last paragraph that pushes this into the horror genre, not the science fiction or fantasies that this stuff and this author is known for. So I would argue that Dragging the Line by Mike Lee is more of a horror short story, according to the last paragraph. But I don't care. I'll still review it because I review horror stories just as much as I review fantasy and science fiction, too. So it's fine by me. I'm not losing any sleep. So anyway, by that. So I did like that. I thought that was fun, but it just wasn't a lot of plot that happens here, right? It's just touring India and seeing the sights. There's just a lot of descriptions, a lot of world building, a lot of conversations between the 4 key characters before the 5th character enters the step. The member of the Eternal Champion, right? Also, their ways of describing India, I think, can be a little rough at times too. So I have some issues with that too. It's not just hey, here's some biased Westerners touring India, and here's what their obviously their biased comments are going to look like, right? It's some of the actual description behind the scenes by Mike. And I've never been to Indy, so I can't and maybe Mike has, maybe he's been to tourist there and he has more information and knowledge from me than I do. And I don't know, would certainly want to be open to that, but it feels a little biased from some of the more objective descriptions and so forth. Although our point of view character will regularly think something or say something, and then he'll follow it up with, but I'm just a Westerner, what do I know? Or that's just a Western biases and so forth. So he does recognize that he has that and so forth, which is pretty cool. But again, there's a lot of writings, not a lot of plot, but there's a lot of descriptions. And it took me about an hour, a little bit less than that, for me to knock it out, since it's 18 pages long, this oversized book. So it was a long time not to have a whole lot of fun stuff that happened. So I'm probably giving this more like a 5 out of 10 proper. It's fine. I don't dislike it. I'm glad I read it. And again, I like that who the member of the Eternal Champion is here, but it's just not what I was thinking or feeling for my folks. So again, I'm only giving it a 5 out of 10 for you folks. So there you are. As a reminder, this channel's title is The Worst Thing About New Books. There's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about new books was that they kept us from reading the old ones, right? And this book that was published in 1996, and all the short stories were written for it, is definitely a few decades ago. So it's a passion of my channel to unpack these sorts of things, right? For you folks. So that's pretty cool. So that's one of the reasons why we're, doing another deeper dive into this and so forth. Also I mentioned how influential Michael Moorcock's stuff was, right? He created the multiversal conflict of law versus chaos, which is not really seen that heavily here in this short story or name called and so forth. So it's not here, but on this multiverse, there's an avatar called the Eternal Champion, a different aspect of the same person. And then he is, you see that, or it's actually sometimes it's a she, like in the Champion of Garathorn, for example. Also, written by Michael Moorcock. So there are sometimes female aspects of the Eternal Champion, but this person, as they appear, they're sort of the primary motivator against chaos on all these various planes of existence, and that's what's happening. For folks, the concept of a multiversal conflict, the word multiverse, all comes from Michael Moorcock, all your modern stuff that you're reading. He was also very influential in science fiction with the New Wave. He edited a few newspapers and journals and magazines that sold short stories and so forth in the 60s and 70s, and sort of really pushed the science fiction New Wave. So that's also very heavy too. He pushes a lot of that stuff. So it's also influential for that reasons too. So there, I'm going to go ahead and leave you to it. Have you read this short story? If so, did you agree or disagree with my 5 out of 10? Let's talk about it in the comments below, whatever you think. If you want to talk about spoilers, we can also talk about that too, just tags with you folks. I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video, because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again. Also, and then finally, if you enjoyed this, why not hit the subscribe button? Because there's going to be a lot more of these to follow. And also, if you're feeling frisky, hit the bell icon so you can be notified when my 3 videos a week get published. Thanks again. Have a great day.